Would help if I turn on my own microphone. Call to order and roll call. Welcome to the third meeting of the 24th session of the House Standing Committee on Small Business Information and Technology. Reminder to please silence all cell phones at this time. If you're interested in testifying, please use the sign-up sheet on the podium by the door. Testimony is within the chair's discretion based on time restraints and information already presented. As a reminder, no signs are allowed in committee meeting rooms. If any member has a question or comment, please signal to Janine or Sasha. I did it again. I'm sorry. Please call the roll.
Representative Dotson. Representative Pfister.
Here.
Representative Freeland. Present. Representative Grossberg.
Present.
Representative Heath.
Here.
Representative King.
Present.
Representative Cole Carney. Representative Maddox. Here. Representative Roberts. Representative Stalker.
Present.
Representative Tate.
Present.
Representative White. Here. Representative Witten.
Here.
Representative Lawrence. Chairman Pratt.
Present. All right, we have quorum. We'll constantly do business. All right, at this point in time, we're going to hear our first bill, which is House Bill 15. Will you please approach and state your name for the record, and please proceed, sir.
Thank you, Chairman. Josh Branscombe, District 83, House of Representatives. Thank you for having me today, Mr. Chairman, and happy Valentine's Day to everyone. Appreciate the opportunity to be here and present to you House Bill 15, which creates a set of data privacy protections for the citizens of this Commonwealth. All of us know we live in a digital age where buying things from online retailers like Amazon, connecting with friends online with Facebook or Instagram, even checking our phone to catch up on daily news. The internet is heavily ingrained in our daily lives. But as we're checking the scores on ESPN, restocking paper towels on Walmart, or touching base with friends on social media, we're leaving our own individual digital footprint behind. Most companies we interact with on our phones and laptops keep record of our data, and many of them sell it to other companies who use it to create advertisements for things that they want to sell us. I know Cabela's probably has a ton of information on me, but members of the committee, it's time that the Kentucky legislature passes a law that provides the basic data privacy and security protections for the citizens of Kentucky, and I'm proud to bring that to you today in House Bill 15. After spending months researching consumer data privacy, I can tell you in some ways it's a complicated issue and a complicated topic, but in other ways what this bill does is simple. In its purest form, it allows Kentuckians who are accessing the internet and using social media platforms to exercise the following rights. They have the right to access their data that a company has on them, the right to correct any errors in that data, the right to get a copy of the data that a company has on them, the right to demand that that company delete that data, and most importantly, the right to tell a company, website, or social media platform that they don't want them to process and sell their individual data for target advertising. It also requires a company, website, or social media platform to respond to the customer within 45 days, and if they can't, they have to give a reason for needing an extension. They have to provide this service free of charge twice yearly in the response to a customer request, and establish an appeals process that a customer could use if it denies the right of a consumer to delete their data. It maintains that they must maintain a security practices to protect the confidentiality of consumer data and provide each consumer a privacy notice that clearly tells them how to request or access to their data and how to opt out of a company collecting and selling their data. House Bill 15 requires controllers and processors of data to work together to ensure that the controller can comply with a consumer request. House Bill 15 also requires any data controller to create and maintain a data protection impact statement. That's very important because that's them essentially having to perform an audit on their own data collection. The data protection impact statement must maintain a record of the controller's processing of data for the purposes of target advertising and of selling the data. And this bill allows the Kentucky Attorney General to gain access to that company's data protection impact statement. And additionally, it gives the Attorney General the authority to enforce the law. If the AG finds that a company is in violation, it gives that company 30 days to cure that violation, and if they don't, it allows the Attorney General to assess a $7,500 fine per occurrence. This bill does have exemptions for some entities and certain types of data, and you'll see that much of that is already subject to a form of federal data protection requirements. This bill applies to companies that process data for more than 100,000 consumers, but if a company derives more than 50% of their revenue from the selling of personal data, it will apply to those. That number drops to 25,000 consumers. And this falls in line with what a lot of our surrounding states have done. Mr. Chairman, I'm proud to have worked with a multitude of interests on this bill, and I want to thank the Chamber, the Kentucky Retail Federation, and others. I've met and taken suggestions from privacy, security, and tech experts, as well as consumer privacy groups. I've researched the privacy bills from surrounding states and tried to pull together their best practices. I've received a lot of requests from companies and groups that wanted to be exempt from this bill, and I've granted some of those requests if we thought that it made sense. I view House Bill 15 as a great starting point, and it provides a much-needed baseline and statutory framework that we'll continue to improve upon as sessions go. This will not be the last time that we touch this bill. In closing, I want to emphasize, we owe it to the citizens of our Commonwealth to get policy and protection such as this in place. This is an issue that is not going away, and we cannot continue to kick the can down the road. And it's time we give the citizens the control over the data that's being collected on them. Again, thank you, Mr. Chairman, for allowing me to present this bill, and I appreciate the committee's...
Motion on the bill.
Motion and question been called for. Would you like to proceed, sir?
No, sir.
All right. Have a motion second call for. Do we have anybody for discussion? I see none. Will you please call the roll?
Representative Dotson. Representative Pfister.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. We do have a question.
Thank you. Thank you, Representative, for bringing this bill. Excuse me. I was just going to ask you if you could clarify a little bit on the 100,000 consumers or 25,000 consumers, those numbers in here for which businesses are impacted by this. And I just asked that question because I'm happy with those numbers. I just would like to know where they came from, because a lot of small businesses really struggle with PCI compliance and data management, especially when it's not their core competency. So can you talk about where those numbers came from?
Yeah, those numbers are similar to what we've seen in other states. And that would put us in line. So if you have a business that operates in multiple states, it would be the same compliance. Some states are just a little bit different, but that's really where those numbers came from.
You're welcome. Seeing no other questions, please call the roll.
Representative Dotson. Representative Pfister.
Yes.
Representative Freeland.
Yes.
Representative Grossberg.
Yes.
Representative Heath.
Yes.
Representative King.
Yes, ma'am.
Representative Kulkarni. Representative Lawrence.
Yes.
Representative Maddox. Yes. Representative Roberts. Yes. Representative Stalker.
Yes.
Representative Tate.
Yes.
Representative White. Yes. Representative Witten.
Yes.
Chairman Pratt.
Yes. House Bill 15 passes with favorable expression. Expect to also do so on the floor. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you all.
At this point in time, I'm going to relinquish the chair and go present.
What is this bill? Representative, if you'll introduce yourself for the record, and you may proceed.
Thank you. Turn my mic on would be helpful. Phil Pratt, House Representative, District 62. All right, I'm introducing House Bill 465. This is as you can see, it's a one-page bill. It's fairly simple to read. Basically, this is for subcontractors that if you have one, it's basically for gig workers. Gig workers are independent contractors that earn income on a per job or per project basis, often use multiple app platforms to watch with clients. If you think of Uber, Lyft, usually the people we'll think of when we look at those. What are portable benefits? Accounts are funded by workers for a variety of benefits such as health insurance. Benefits are tied to a worker, not a company. Funds can be used by a worker as main benefits or to supplement benefits. Contributions are voluntary and may be stopped or resumed at any time. main thing you need to realize about this is 100% voluntary. If you have a subcontractor or you have someone in a gig that you really want to keep, you may offer these. You don't have to, but without this, you can't.
Motion on the bill.
We have a motion on the bill, but we need to adopt the proposed
Okay.
House Sub
Yep.
1.
Please, yes.
Do we have a motion on that? Motion. Do we need to call the roll? No. Okay.
Thank you.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Only thing the committee sub did, it removed line 25. There were some people came to me with issues over that. That is all it did, remove the last line in the bill. So, that's it, sir.
Okay, we have a motion on the bill, but we have a couple questions. Representative Tate?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Representative Pratt, for bringing this to us. So whenever you said that these insurance benefits could be made available at any time, so started at any time and stopped at any time, does that mean that there's not a window for enrollment?
Unfortunately, no, because again, these are people who are independent contractors. So again, you can offer it, not offer it, as you want to keep them, but yes.
Okay, basically. Thank you.
But
Thank you.
I will say this, with a lot of, like health insurance, there is definitely a window when you can and can't offer that.
Yeah,
Yes.
if I
So it
may
is
ask-
true on some, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and so this is because they don't have insurance right now and that they need insurance?
Well, they may not be available to, the good news is, like health insurance in my company, getting it through my company because we have a much larger plan is cheaper, and we would like to offer that to them, but right now we can't. This would hopefully get them into a better program at a lower cost.
May I have a follow-up, please?
Yes, you may.
And so, in theory, if they were to enroll and be accepted, then immediately they would be eligible.
I'm sorry, I lost you.
So immediately, so if they were to enroll
Yeah.
and be accepted, then immediately they would be eligible to start partaking or using those benefits.
Yes, ma'am.
Exactly. Okay. Thank you very much.
Next, we have Representative Roberts.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you to the sponsor of this bill. You mentioned that these are primarily gig workers, but when I think of these kinds of workers, I think of independent contractors. Would this not apply to all independent contractors?
It would, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Another question, if I may. So I guess my question to you is, why is this necessary? Why, if you want to offer these kinds of benefits to your employees, why wouldn't you make them full employees instead of offering a plan that they would then have to pay into more themselves? It seems like we're trying to take people who should be employees and give them the benefits of being an employee, benefits that were hard earned by workers and especially labor unions across this country, and instead make these people independent contractors, when I feel like we're really taking people who are employees and just trying to have employers not cover their benefits for them.
Well, actually, that's a very good question. Right now, the way the law reads, you cannot offer it to an independent contractor. The test of whether you're an independent contractor or not largely applies on whether or not you do or don't offer benefits. So this would allow you to offer them without, will still be an independent contractor if that's what they wish to do. So right now, you cannot by law. This would allow it.
One more. So I guess my question is, how would this not incentivize even more people to not properly make their employees employees, where we'd have even fewer people that perhaps were able to afford things like their own unemployment insurance or disability insurance?
Well, again, right now you've got a lot of people that are, gig like Lyft and Uber cannot by law offer any benefits to the employees because they are subcontractors or independent contractors. This would allow them to be able to do that. I don't think it's going to change that dynamics much one way or the other. I think what it will do is allow companies that want to keep good people on, and because they are independent contractors, be able to offer them benefits. This is strictly optional. This does not require you to.
You can, one more.
Just a comment at this point. Thank you for those answers. I actually have grave concerns that this will make it so that even fewer people have the protections of being a proper employee under their employer system. I think if people in the Commonwealth who are gig workers or who are independent contractors, a lot of those people are doing that because they can't find proper employment at this point in time, or employers who are willing to offer that benefit plan. And as an employer myself, I understand the costs associated with that. But I have really grave concerns that this is not going to prove to be a net benefit to the workers of Kentucky, but rather a net negative, where we have more people who are forced into a gig economy because employers just don't want to actually have to pay for employees. Thank you.
I would say that most people that are gig employees or independent contractors are because they want to be. They like that freedom. With over 160,000 open jobs in Kentucky right now, if they want to find a job, I think they could. And I will tell you this, employer, you don't offer benefits, you won't get the employees. I've yet to even bump into any company that doesn't offer benefits. Again, there may be some out there, but most of them I know do that. So I think this will actually help those people that actually like that independent freedom part of it.
Next, we have Representative Stalker.
Thank you. My question, I have some concerns about this as well, but my question specifically is around, you said it's limited to health insurance, unemployment insurance, disability, life insurance, retirement benefits. And the question that I am stumped on is around this unemployment insurance. So I'm not sure what the potential benefit is there. Why would we not want someone to pay into our unemployment? Why would we not want somebody to pay into our unemployment within the state? Why would we want them to divert those dollars over to a private insurance company? Does that make sense, the way I've stated that?
Right now, it's an independent contractor. You cannot pay in the system. And by the way, let's clarify, unemployment insurance is paid 100% by the employer, not the employee, the employer. So if I decide to offer that, or any company decides to offer that, they pay 100% of it, not the employee. It's the company money that goes into that. So it's not their money, it's the company money. That'd be something, an expense they decide to take on to offer it in case we have a downturn in the economy, which some say we will, some say we won't.
A follow-up question, please?
Absolutely.
So if I heard you right then, so it's the employers that are putting into that. So if I'm an individual who has no employees at all, and I am only working in the area of bringing on people as contract workers, am I basically utilizing a loophole then where I'm not having to pay into unemployment insurance because I've decided to take an alternative route that it kind of allows me to sidestep that?
I don't know. I don't know if you can fire yourself. But again, unemployment is basically a contract between you and your employee that if they lose their job through no fault of their own, then you cover them until they can find another job. So if you fire yourself, I don't know if you can claim UI anyway.
Thank you.
Next, we have Representative Grossberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Wouldn't this result in fewer taxes being collected and therefore taxes being paid and reduce workers' protections like minimum wage and workers' compensation?
Absolutely not. Again, my question is, we see tax being paid. You can't avoid taxes, like it or not. They're going to. Again, you got to file your 1099 or whatever, but you still got to claim that at the end of the year.
May I do a follow-up?
You may.
So you believe that independent contractors are just as compliant as larger employers at the standard compliance of our labor regulations?
They should be, but there's always bad actors everywhere you go. So this does not relieve the liability. This may or may not, if they wish to, there are large employers that you see get fined from time to time because they don't follow labor laws and or wage and hour laws. This does not affect that one way or the other. The law's still there. They need to follow it. This does not give them a loop around.
May I ask one more, Mr. Chairman?
You may.
All right. Would you be willing to have an amendment to the bill that applies this only to current contractors, independent contractors, and exempts the gig workers?
I'd have to, let's have a discussion about that. We can, again, I need to see exactly how much they'd change the bill, but we can have a discussion on that.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. We have a couple people that have signed up to speak on the bill. If you wouldn't mind giving them the chair. First, looks like we have a Dustin. See if you'll come to the chair and introduce yourself for the record, you may proceed.
Dustin Reinstedler, President, Kentucky State AFL-CIO. And brought Jason Bailey.
Just introduce yourself for the record, please.
Jason Bailey, Executive Director at the Kentucky Center for Economic Policy.
Thank you. So we see House Bill 465 as another way to circumvent the employer-employee relationship and, add more and more worker misclassification.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our concerns are that there are already a large number of employees in Kentucky that are misclassified, and in all states, frankly, as independent contractors. There have been independent studies showing 10 to 30% of folks are often misclassified. We had an audit actually here in Kentucky on the unemployment claims and found about 26% of construction workers, for example, were misclassified. And what happens when someone is really an employee and they're classified as an independent contractor, of course, is that they lose certain rights and protections, and there are other costs that are shifted from the employer and from onto the employee and onto the rest of Kentuckians. And the unemployment insurance is a good example. We've been talking about that. You all, some of you know, I'm sure, that we had to borrow a lot of money for unemployment insurance because of our trust fund ran out of money. Very large loans from the federal government, hundreds of millions of dollars that we've had to pay over the years. And part of the reason for that was this sort of erosion of people who paid into it as employees, even though they really were employees. So there are issues that we have with especially the broad language of this bill, that it would incentivize more shifting over to independent contractors and essentially create a new tier that in which employers would not assume the costs of a full employee and provide the rights and protections, but could have more flexibility in terms of their hiring. So specifically, the bill talks about a public or private entity can that is a hiring party. It refers to hiring, which is something that you do with workers and not with independent contractors. And the very broad definition of the type of employers that could participate in this certainly, we think, provides that incentive. And ultimately, what that does is eliminate access to benefits like anti-discrimination laws that employees have, sexual discrimination, medical leave, family leave laws. It shifts costs of Social Security and Medicare over to the contractor. It makes them ineligible for workers' comp if they get injured on the job. Again, they don't pay into unemployment insurance. They're not subject to minimum wage laws, to overtime laws, to worker safety laws. And so it creates an incentive to do that. And any benefit that would be provided voluntarily through this would, we think, pale in comparison to the benefits that would be lost to employees from not being part of the employment relationship, and ultimately could result in the spreading of a problem that we already see. So those are our comments, and thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We do have one other person signed up, a John Rayburn. Will you turn on your mic, Representative?
Yes, Mr. Rayburn his name was put down. He was a guest. He wasn't planning on speaking, no.
All right. He got a funny look on his face when I said his name.
Yep.
I thought, well, he's got cold feet.
He's from a...
Representative Pratt, will you please come back to the table?
Thank you, sir.
Are there any further discussion? Representative, do you have anything else you would like to add?
Well, I think it's interesting they talked about the UI, the fact we had to borrow money. That happened before 2015. At one point in time here in Kentucky, you can move here from, I'm going to pick on a state, Indiana, open a P.O. box, start drawing UI. We stopped that when we came in 2017. The fact that we were irresponsible with our UI funds has nothing to do with this bill. Again, if you don't pay into it, now you can't draw unemployment insurance, point blank.
Representative White, you had a question?
Yes, sir. Representative Pratt, in my business, and I have employees, but probably 80% of my business is with independent people that they go out, they log for themselves. They may have one employee or a family member that helps them, but most of the people I deal with are independent, and they're not just dedicated to deal with me. They deal with other people in the same business. Those people would fall under this bill, wouldn't they, or not?
Yes, if you wish to offer them benefits, you can. If again, maybe you would like to offer them these benefits so they'd only work for you, and the other company doesn't. Maybe they'd want to work for you instead all the time. So again, this is strictly optional. Make sure we understand. It's not a mandate. If you wish to offer these, you can.
Okay. Well, thank you, sir.
All right, seeing no further discussion, do we have a motion on the bill as amended by proposed House Sub 1? You'll have to say it if you don't mind. Motion on the bill. Do I have a second? We have a second. Sasha, will you please call the roll?
Representative Dotson, Representative Pfister,
Yes.
Representative Freeland,
Yes.
Representative Grossberg,
Permission to explain my vote, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'm a no on this, and I say that as someone who is myself an independent contractor. I'm a real estate agent, have been for nearly 17 years, received no benefits, nothing portable, so this would be against my own interest in that sphere. But there are 3 reasons that I have to vote no. The first is that I believe there will be an increase in the misclassification of workers in the status quo. Second, I believe that this will encourage the growth of this now third zone hybrid level of employment where you're not quite an independent contractor, but you're still not technically an employee who receives those benefits of being an employee. And third is the compliance concern that there's more opportunity for fraud and abuse when the compliance is spread from large employers down to many more independent contractors. Yes, there are always bad actors, but the more actors there are, the more ripe it is for such abuse. And we all know that self-reporting your own income for taxes is far less effective as a collection mechanism than employer collection and reporting, where the penalty, the severity of the penalty, the likelihood of the penalty is far greater. So with that, I have to vote no. Thank you.
Representative Heath,
Yes.
Representative King,
Yes, ma'am.
Representative Kulkarni, Representative Lawrence,
Yes.
Representative Maddox,
Yes.
Representative Roberts,
Briefly explain my vote, my no vote. I think the sponsor may have hit the nail on the head when you answered Representative White's question and said you could offer these if you only want them to work for you. And I think where we are seeing this in my area, in Northern Kentucky, is not what you would think of as traditional gig workers necessarily, although they will be impacted by this, but where a lot of our professional organizations and corporations are using independent contractors is sort of a way to hire someone in as a consultant or as an independent. That person generally takes, and a lot of times takes that job as a way to sort of get their foot in the door, hoping that it will turn into full-time proper employment. But if these kinds of things are put into place, then it's even more incentive for the employer to never make them an employee, and for this to exacerbate our ongoing misclassification problem. So I'm a no today.
Representative Stalker,
Explain my vote, please.
Yes.
So I'm a no as well today. I share some of the same sentiments that my colleague Rep. Roberts just expressed. It feels like there's some unintended consequences that maybe we are not even fully able to see yet, as far as how that's going to affect things if we create this virtual new tier that you mentioned. And I don't think that it also incentivizes employers to bring people on as a full-blown employee and give them the benefits and the protections that they are entitled to have. So for that reason, I'm a no today.
Representative Tate,
Yes.
Representative White, yes. Representative Witten,
Yes.
Chairman Pratt.
Yes. Thank you, members of the committee. Appreciate your vote and passing this. Again, I'm amazed that we are not wanting to offer health insurance to gig workers or somebody who doesn't have it in today's economy. Absolutely blows my mind. Thank you guys very much.
House Bill 465 as amended by proposed House Sub 1 passes with favorable